Alright, hi everyone, welcome back to our next episode of the Investor Series, and this time around we're going to talk about, does good schools affect the value of your property?
Wealth management and
Monthly installment at 1.88%
to select the right property to buy.
1 km. It's 1 km.
Yeah, let me check.
Today we're actually in the midst of our home tour shoot at Dakota Residences. Now this 4-bedroom is really lovely. You're going to check out the home tour that's coming out soon. Today we're going to talk about this topic because we usually have questions from our buyers and investors, and sometimes they will ask us this very particular question. Does the proximity of a good school affects or enhances the value of a nearby development that is within the 1 kilometres radius? Our conclusion is yes, it does affect. In fact, it's actually one of the very major factor that affect or enhances, or I would say maintains and sustains the price of a nearby development, especially if it's within the 1 kilometre range. Now, of course, if you have watched our previous episodes on the Investor Series, we talk about a list of factors that affects the price and appreciation of a property itself when it comes to selecting a private property development. And today we're just going to talk about 3 factors on why a good school actually affects the pricing of the nearby development. And we're talking about developments that's within the 1 kilometres radius. Now, the number one reason is because Singapore is small, plus Singapore focuses a lot on the education system. So of course, parents, whenever it comes to their kids coming up to the age of 6 years old, because at the age of 6 years old, in June to July, you got to prep for balloting so that when you're 7 years old, you can know whether do you get into that particular school or not. So usually parents will work and anticipate upwards towards their kids' age of 5 to 6, and then they will plan in advance to move near to the school itself. So if you want to get into the particular school that is within the 1 kilometres radius, to gain a higher chance qualify the child, whether is it phase 2C, 2B and stuff like that. It also depends on the competitiveness, on the balloting result based on the history. So a lot of different forums and websites, they will show the statistics and stuff like that. Of course, in Singapore, because it's small and parents focuses a lot on education, so the good school enhances and protects the value of properties around it because of the fact that education is very important in Singapore, which then results in an increase of demand. And that is what we usually see when we are on the ground. Sometimes buyers, when they call for a particular property, they usually will want to ask and verify to see if this property is within a 1 km radius. So quite a fair bit of parents also move inwards towards the target area of their school that they hope to enter in anticipation of their child turning towards the P1 age. So the first factor is really because of demand, and demand drives the value of a property. Why? Because property essentially is a demand and supply when we talk about the price sustainability and the price appreciation. When there's more demand, the transactions will move. When there's transactions moving, valuation will be strong, valuation will increase through time. So demand equals to transactions. Second factor, usually if a family bought a property because of the 1 kilometres radius, the likelihood of this family using the property for own stay is very high. Primary school education is 6 years, plus if let's say there is a high school that's affiliated to the primary school right beside, that will mean that there's a higher chance that this family might then stay for 10 years, because 6 years of primary school, 4 to 5 years of secondary school, so it's a good 10 to 11 years, and that will mean that the family will tend to stay long. So when they stay long and the owner occupation rate is high in that particular project itself, that will mean that there will also be very strong sustainability and holding power. So the price tend to hold strong. You won't see frequent fire sale. Usually people will just enjoy the development while their kids are growing up. The third factor is even after the family's children has grown up of the secondary school or primary school and they decide to shift elsewhere, sometimes because of the demand in that area due to that school, the owners might tend to hold on to the property and then they rent it out, because there are also families who don't want to buy near to the school, they just want to rent and fulfill the 30 months criteria and stuff like that. So owners that have bought it previously, they will tend to want to rent it out as well. So first factor, because Singapore is small, education is important, demand is high around good schools. Second factor, because the ownership rate is high and families around good schools tends to stay for long, that's why the prices tends to be more stable. And of course the third factor is because if the good school remains to be in that same location, the owners tend to want to just hold it and rent it out. So bearing these 3 factors in mind, good school is one of the very important factor when it comes to selecting a property for investment or for own stay. And we hope that this answers your question for this investor series, and we'll see you on the next one. Cheers.